tight. What up? I'm getting ready to set up for my morning show. Start planning out my day like I normally will. I'm gonna do this while I plan out my day from now on. So let's see. Today is Tuesday. Normally the store updates today. I don't think it's updated yet though. Today is not the first of the month, so the PS Plus games have already been out for this month. And I think all the stuff for GTA, the DLC stuff, anything that should have been out, I think would have been out by now. Well, not by now, but it's pretty normal to go between DLCs. There's usually 2 to 3 weeks where they don't drop anything when they run out of cars from the last DLC that they have ended, and I don't see any events posted. I don't see no double RP, nothing. I don't know what's going on in it this week. I checked the events this morning, and normally the events will post like in the middle of the night. So, and then the game will update in the middle of the day, somewhere around noon, between noon and 2. Time more between like 10 and 2. But, uh, like I said, I haven't seen anything of it yet. So, I don't think we're going to get anything in GTA this week. There's no Plus games coming out this week. But, I am about to get set up to get a little more of my scheduling down and, get my media management a little better prepared. I've also got to set the crew emblem later today. I'm meeting the car show committee. I've got to open up some message groups over PSN for the regular attendance of the car show, and I'm gonna have to show them how to get into it now because that method is changing. It used to be you could just join on me. But due to trolls and some other stuff and growing popularity of the shows, now I'm going to have to make them exclusive. Like you can only get in via a crew invite now. Excuse me. So trying to get everything lined up. The quicker I get these things done, the quicker I could just go to streaming and work on each individual product. Each individual project, not product. Fucking yeah, like my outfit. Like this is I put this on today. It's kind of made out of pajamas anyway, so it's kind of, comfy. But it's also part of one of the new shows that I'll be doing later. And in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and get out my camera and start setting up for bits and pieces. I'll take some shots later throughout the day and get some of that set up too. But I went ahead and put like the clothes on. It's got more to it. It's got like some gloves and a mask and some more stuff. I've got some props and toys and I'm going to use my kids and stuff in it, but I'm not going to get to any of that yet because I need to write a script for it. So I thought, since I'm doing this, since I'm organizing this stuff, I usually, when I sit down to have these little sessions, I'll have a flurry of ideas just hit me all at once. So I have to have like my notepad at the ready because I'll be doing something else and then all of a sudden I'll have an idea about another project and I need to be able to jump to that page and jot that down real quick before that thought completely evades me. So I'm going to get my workshop set up, get everything lined up. I think I'm good on coffee and smokes for now. Oh, maybe not coffee. But yeah, go ahead and get all my stuff set up, man, and I'll take a look at some more news for the gaming community today and see what's going on. I think I did finally effectively get all of the communities named the same. So any and everywhere, just look for Ads Collective. And just a quick history as to why I decided to name it Ads Collective. It's for multiple reasons. One, the group is not about me. I may have been the founder, but it is not about me. It's about the community. It's about the people that I've met. I've met a shit ton of cool people that 9 times out of 10, they wind up interacting great together. You know what I mean? So I feel like I've kind of acted as a filter for these individuals, that we've all gathered, and I've got a ton of friends, and we all interactively play together all the time, and everybody usually seems to get along. There's only been a couple of small incidences where I've had to correct someone or sort out some kind of troll problem, but those things are usually so few and far in between. But just statistically, it's not impossible. You know what I mean? You're going to run across that quite a bit, and some stuff is going to slide through your filter sometimes. Like you'll meet a new guy and you won't know he's an asshole until about 2 or 3 weeks into knowing the dude and you get to hang the floor. So, but the reason that I decided to name it Ads Collective is because it's nothing but a collection of my friends and a collection of the community members and shit that I've met through GTA and Terraria, and VR, and several other games throughout my gaming history. And the group that I actually started on Facebook initially, I think back in, I want to say 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. Whenever it was that on the PS3, the network went down for like a month, whatever period that was when I started the Facebook community. And originally I called it Facebook is, PlayStation Network is down. It was the original name of it. And then like a month later when they came back, I was like, well, I can't keep calling it PSN is down because it's not down anymore. So I was joking around with some friends and somebody said something about us being addicts. And I just thought that was hilarious. So I went with PSN Addicts Anonymous. That group quickly grew from a couple of hundred people to well over 1,000 now. And, it's only been a couple of years and it's a pretty passive community for the most part. I've kind of been inactive on it for the last couple of years. I just kind of got away from it. I kind of, even though I founded it, I didn't, we still manage it. We still make sure nobody's like trying to sell fucking sunglasses shit in it, so we still go in and do maintenance on it and stuff, but we don't act like I haven't actively posted anything there in a while, and I need to again. I want to again. I guess I was just looking for something with a little purpose or a little directive, and doing more with this channel allows me to do that. So I changed the name effectively yesterday to Ads Collective, just like the PSN community and the Facebook page, and I linked together the group and the Facebook page. So now they are interassigned to one another, and I can manage both from the same place, which I'll also be able to do with my Twitter, my Twitch, both YouTube channels, which should be coming before Friday. By the car show, I'd like to have my other stream set up. So for this car show, this will be the first one that's ever been done like this, but it will have 2 points of view on the stream for the same car show. It'll have my view and well, at least 2. There could possibly be more. Kid could do his own stream. Sometimes Max does his own stream. Several other people at the show usually host their own stream. I think usually I'm the only one that still acts as host because we organize it, ahead of time, and that's kind of my role in it as the director and host. So I try to, because the car shows are not just for you, the viewers, they're also for the attendance of the car show. So I try to do something engaging with everyone and keep everybody in a good mood and, doing things as a group that normally is fucking impossible in GTA because there's no way you're going to run into a lobby of randoms or go somewhere and, you can have that many friends all at once hanging out and doing the same shit. So much so that we've actually a couple of times crashed the game. The Rockstar editor isn't able to process some of the stuff that we've done, which it's got to be monumental if just a playback from it can crash your game. So that's as much as it sucks for the editing process, that is pretty epic when you think about it. So with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and start setting up, get everything where I need it to be so that I can get this ball rolling. If anybody has any questions, suggestions, anything like that for the show, for the channel, for the car shows, for the morning show, for Terraria, for anything I do on the channel, and also speaking in, I'll be setting up playlists later for each individual show that I do because I do multiples. So I'm going to start making playlists to basically log all of those shows. The latest ones in the playlist will be the most current ones. I'll go back on a few of them, but I'm not going to go like months back and go hunting these things down. You can totally do that from the history of my channel or checking out my number of uploads. I almost never remove anything. So if anything does get removed, it's via YouTube or something, which I think I've only ever had like one video get completely struck down. Maybe 2, maybe. I'm not sure. But not very many. Not enough to get in any kind of trouble or anything. I got a couple of videos like the promo videos that I put out for the car shows, the commercials, so to speak. I kind of I don't monetize those because I don't want. I'm not trying to like copyright anybody's music, but I'm trying to make like a cool commercial for my channel, for my show, for the stuff that I do. So that stuff is purely uh, non-monetary. Oh, pardon me for just a moment. Almost forgot to cut my mic back on. All right, let's get set up here. Okay, I'm positive I've cut this thing on like 3 times now. Jesus Christ. There we go. All right. So let's see. Set the crew emblem. Set the link to the crew. Create new art. Ooh, that's something I gotta do. I'm gonna sync all the artwork throughout each of the different channels. So that means I'm gonna make a new banner for everywhere. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the balls, but I'll get done. Branding. This is the downside to doing your entire channel yourself, to doing everything yourself. Speaking of which, I need to set up my other camera and the tripod for that. So, oh, and I came up with an idea for a new filtering process for people that want to join the show whom I don't know, whether it's in Terraria or some other show, and I get because I get messages all the time going, "Well, can I play with you?" Um, I don't mind playing with new people, but I'm not gonna let anybody into my stream until I know them. Nothing personal, just a safety measure. Make sure I don't get griefed or trolled or any of that dumb shit. And I ain't got no time for drama. You won't see me get upset about it in the least. I'll delete somebody with no emotional weight to it whatsoever. Um, like I said, it ain't personal, but I'm grown. I don't deal with bullshit. So, let me get, because I think I talked a little bit about it yesterday, but most of what I'll be doing with the new addition to the show, uh, what I'll be using is just my phone for it. And I figured out the other day that I could use this tripod kind of in sync with um, some of my other things, or my phone. And I've actually got some ideas for like some lighting that I could mount on here and make it illuminate any surface I need to. So it'd basically be a portable camera station. Effectively be a portable camera station. Um, This should be able to accommodate my phone in whatever manner I want, and me be able to pick it up and carry it throughout the house, and then just place it somewhere. You know, I can do like movie studios and stuff too, and I can put tape on the floor. You know, that's never in the shot, but I know where people know where to stand, or I know where to place the camera, and it's scripted out. So, gotta remind myself of that later. That's the other thing I gotta do there. I gotta get the script written out, or at least started. At least started. So I got a lot on my plate today. Trying to eliminate a lot of these things and take care of a lot of these things because the more I get done on them now, the simpler it makes to do everything else. It allows me a lot more time, the easier it is to monitor and manage each of these things, and the easier it becomes to give it new content. Do you think that's it? This is all ready to be used now for my phone. I've actually got a couple of lenses for this thing that extend it and make it magnify more. But I don't think I'm going to need them. My camera on my phone does really, really great. So I think for the moment, I'm just going to leave this as is. I'm not going to start shooting right now, but this is all ready to. So let's get the ball rolling with let's get it rolling with the crew. Let's get that crew emblem on there. Okay, here's the one that I need, and here's the other. Okay, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but for this particular icon, I do have a video that I put together. Oh, the way that I figured out that I could monitor people and check them while still streaming and while still um, in game, without them coming into my party, putting me at risk of griefers or whatever. I can just send them a chat invite, and I can take my Bluetooth to my Vita, and then from my Vita, I can send them a chat invite, or they can send me a chat invite, and I can go check them out from here, separate from my stream, so that you'll hear what I say, but you won't hear what they say until I grant them access to whether I decide they're gonna be somebody I play with or not. So, but that's a new good way for me to filter people when I'm doing casual things. When I'm not like in a car show, I wouldn't do that in a car show because I got a lot of stuff going on at a car show, and I've got a lot of things to manage, make sure everything goes well for um, a crowd of people. So But things like Terraria, when I'm playing by myself, or when I'm doing the GTA Today thing at night with my friends, I can do them in those situations uh, because I'm not doing anything heavily important. As long as whatever I'm doing isn't actively under fire at the moment, you know what I mean? I'm not in the middle of a battle of any kind. So let's see if I run this back a bit. Let's start this thing from the beginning. My hair wants to be right in the wrong place right now.
All three of the harmful foods I'm going to
Okay, I'm seeing it now. The coordinates and the scale for each and every one make this extremely easy. Hell, I can just type in the numbers for that matter, and not have to worry about doing any of this by hand. I'm totally gonna do that. But also, while I'm here, I need to check on this. I need to check on the mergers that I'll be doing between different crews. Let's see. Okay, push that one. All right. Well, I've got about an hour and a half to 2 hours before I've got to meet up with Kid. Before I'm going to meet up with Kid. I don't have to, but you know what I'm saying. We got to get this car show done. So what I'm thinking is I'll do an hour and a half of Terraria, and then while I'm doing the car show stuff and setting up with him, I'll do this because there's really not a lot to speak on from here. think it was this one. Maybe it wasn't that one. Maybe it was this. hmm Oh, the article that I was reading yesterday. There we go. This is a brief history of blaming video games for mass murder. Yeah, last week a letter appeared in the Grand Forks Herald expressing sadness about the recent school shootings written by a member of the public. The letter claimed that the horrid, violent video games are to blame and that any focus on guns is a waste of time. In the past few decades, video games have moved to the center of cultural life, and yet they still carry a stigma of disapproval of being external forces that are at least partly responsible for modern ills, including the real-world violence perpetrated by deeply disturbed young men. This week, the President of the United States played to this notion, tying video games to violence to the recent murders of 17 people at the in Parkland, Florida 3 weeks ago. On February 14th, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz killed 14 students and 3 adults at Majority Stoneman Douglas High School. Cruz had a history of behavioral problems. He made hateful social media comments about minorities. He was also keen video game player. He was also a keen video game player. Yesterday, Trump hosted a roundtable discussion about games, but reports from the meeting suggest that Trump sees games as a threat. Politically, it's in his interest to divert attention from the government's unwillingness to address expensive or divisive issues like gun control or funding for mental health care. The gun industry The gun industry's main lobbyist group, the National Rifle Association, which had already been to see Trump regularly, ascribes mass shootings to video games and most especially when they are perpetrated by young men. The NRA spent more than $5 million on lobbying last year. The game industry lobby group, the Entertainment Software Association, spends similar amounts, but it lacks the grassroots activism of gun owners. And although the Supreme Court ruled in 2011 that games are protected by the First Amendment and guns are protected by the Second Amendment, this sets the stage for a political standoff in which virtual entertainment world becomes the pasty for the yeah the pasty the patsy, I'm sorry, the patsy for very real firearms. Games have a long history of facing down blame for real-world acts of murder, but we looked to the statistics and found that video games rarely play a significant role in the lives of mass shootings, the shooting murders. Um, Deadly school shootings. Of the 100 most deadly school massacres in modern history, 40 took place in the United States. The most deadly took place in 1927 in which 38 elementary school children and 6 adults were murdered by a man who wanted revenge for his failure to secure an elected position. A total of 7 attacks took place in their era before video games and were part of America's life, leaving 33 school shootings between 1980 and 2018 in which more than one person was slain. In 4 of those 33 mass murders, the proprietors have been definitely identified as being fans of video games. Given that video games have almost universal popularity amongst boys and young men for the last 30 years, this doesn't seem at all extraordinary. Generally, other factors have been more obvious or notable to law enforcement officials, and reports including the antisocial or obsessive behavior and a history of mental health issues. Columbia Columbine, on April 20th, 1999, high school seniors Eric Harrison and Dylan Kelbold murdered 12 students and a teacher. They both enjoyed playing games like Doom and Quake, which were popular at the time, but the killers had wide-ranging cultural interests, including dark music, computers, and drama. They were bullied, often in trouble. Both kept journals, either written or video-based, in which they detailed their plans, and they were both intensely interested in bombs and firearms. Heath High School on December 1st, 1997, 14-year-old Michael Carneal shot to death three students. He had been a target for bullies and suffered from a variety of diagnosed mental illness. He enjoyed video games. The parents of the victim subsequently sued multiple organizations as they saw carrying blame for Carnell's actions, including game companies. The lawsuit was not successful. Sandy Hook on December 14th, 2012, 20-year-old Adam Lanza killed 20 children and 6 adults at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. He was a loner with a known mental health issue and a fascination of mass shootings. He spent a lot of time in his basement playing a wide variety of games. His favorite game was said to be Dance Dance Revolution. Parkland, Nicholas Cruz spent long hours playing violent video games, according to a friend. He was an unpopular kid who suffered from depression. Some anomalies. Uh, Other killers have been mistakenly connected with games. In the immediate aftermath of the Virginia Tech shootings in 2007, it was reported that Sung Hui Chow, the perpetrator who killed 32 people and was an avid fan of multiplayer shooter Counter-Strike, um, this was later debunked as his roommate, who said he never seen Chow play a video game. Video games are mostly tied to school shootings because they are generally perpetrated by young men who are or were at the affected school. Other mass shootings often take place in the workplace or in public spaces. Their motives are generally tied to the beliefs and vices and principles of failures, mental illness, or broken relationship of an individual shooters, not to their entertainment choices. But games are sometimes linked to these killers. Recent non-school mass murders, including 2012's Aurora Cinematic shooting. The perpetrator, James Holmes, played games. He also had a history of mental illness, including hallucinations. Andreas Breivik, a Norwegian right-wing terrorist who murdered 77 people in 2011, said he played World of Warcraft to relax. He also made the dubious claim that playing Call of Duty gamers helped improve his marksmanship. However, there are occasions when murderers confess or claim to some obsession with art. John Lennon's killer, Mark Chapman, had a strange connection with the novel Catcher in the Rye. John Hinckley Jr., the man who attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan, was obsessed with the actor Jodie Foster. Um, when teenage brothers Williams and Joshua Bunker pled guilty for the shooting and murders of random motorists on a highway in the Smoky Mountains, they claimed to have been inspired by Grand Theft Auto 3. A lawsuit ensued, which was quickly dismissed. Likewise, a murderous Oakland gang in the Nutcases, that's their fucking name, a murderous Oakland gang called the Nutcases spent hours getting high and playing GTA 3 before they ranged out onto crime sprees, according to 2003's report in the San Francisco Chronicle. But in 2008, the trial of one of their leaders, Leon Wiley, the judge preferred to focus on the weapons used in their crimes. It's clear he is somehow who Oh, okay. It is clear that he is someone who treated firearms like people treat forks and knives, said Judge Joseph Hurley. Study first. An FBI research document on school shootings looked into the types of behavior, personality traits, and circumstances that serve as warning signs among students. Video games are one of many behaviors cited. The student demonstrates an unusual fascination with movies, TV shows, computer games, Music videos or printed material that focus intensively on themes of violence, hatred, control, power, death, and destruction. States of the report, it goes on to say that the students spend inordinate amounts of time playing video games with violent themes and seems more interested in playing violent images than the game itself. A 2004 report from the Secret Service and the Department of Education researched 37 incidents of school violence and found that 24% of the attackers expressed an interest of violent books, while 12% interested in games. 37% were interested in violence expressed in their own writings, such as poems, essays, and journals, etc. There are many ways in which video games are subject to scrutiny as an artistic and commercial form. Sensible people surely agree that gamers' effects deserve to be studied in detail. Human curiosity demands that we understand everything we can about how our minds interact with art, the ways in which games portray the world, and in which they support or subvert wildly held beliefs and prejudices are an essential task for academics, cultural students, and health professionals. But when a school shooting occurs, video games are usually a default part of the media's blame narrative, and at least until some more interesting angle emerges. Reading through the grim stories of school shootings, it's notable how rarely games are mentioned in the awful narratives and how often the factors are cited again and again. In almost all the cases in which young person is the perpetrator, he is described as someone who has few friends, or who has been bullied, who has been prescribed behavior modifying medications. It is often the case that the perpetrators has some fixation on women, minorities, or religious groups. Journals are common. Parents are sometimes slain before the school shootings, and of course, the killers have access to deadly weapons. Often, the killers are interested in weapons in real life and world violence more than in fantasy violence. The endless loop. If you've been interested in games for a number of years, you'll doubtless be fatigued by the same old arguments, but they bear repetition. Games are essential entertainment for most young people. When young people commit crimes, it's therefore highly likely that they have some history of playing video games. Video games, like all art forms, sometimes deal with extreme violence. This has led to the genre argument that active participants in the violence might have more of an effect on real-world behavior than more passive forms of entertainment. Yet, as noted by the U.S. Supreme Court in its ruling protecting games under the First Amendment, decades of statistic or scientific study have failed to prove such a link. As years go on, as men and women who have lived with games all their lives obtain positions of power, uh, the push to frame games as a social evil is diminishing. Like the video shown at the White House yesterday, this is a crude tool that looks like a diversion from the issues of our elected officials ought to be addressing. Well said. Well said. Basically, breaking it down, the government likes to blame video games for violence, right? And they use it as a scapegoat to distract from the actual problems: gun control, health issues, mental health issues, bullying, all of this mess. Parents not taking responsibility, schools not being accountable, and all of this shit. You know what I mean? They're attempting to use video games as a scapegoat. You know.
Hi.
What up, Yodas Yoga Toga? What a name, bro. That's pretty fun. But yeah, I just wanted to finish reading that article because I had started that yesterday. And I meant to finish it before things got too far. I never did put my banners up, did I? Hmm. Hmm. Says it's not linked. Oh well, we'll deal with that next time. So for now, I think I'm calling it on this. I'm gonna jump over to Terraria. It's about 11 o'clock my time. I'm gonna play Terraria for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. Try to get a little more stuff done there progressively. And then around 2 o'clock my time, so like another 3 hours from now, I'm gonna go do the preparation with the car show committee and go get things prepared for this Friday and get a couple of more. Uh, while I work on that, I'll also be working on the emblems, um, the links, and the instructions for the new process of joining the car shows. So until then, thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, suggestions, notes, ideas, something you'd like to, something original that you'd like to see done, because I'm really not a fan of doing the same crap everybody else is doing. I'm trying to steer this in in an original direction, which is extremely hard to do when there's like 4 million fucking people doing this YouTube thing now. So it gets harder and harder as time goes by. Keep in mind, I'm trying to do this from a normal father's perspective. Everything I have here is normal household items. Everything I have and own is affordable. Nothing is like crazy expensive. Most expensive thing in the room is probably the PS4. That Pro is pretty hefty on price. So, but until next time, like, subscribe, comment, share, turn on notifications, all that happy stuff, man. And if you're hanging out somewhere around GTA, man, keep them guns up.